I meant to say something funny or witty about this week's coaster, but frankly, it's getting a little bit old and tired. I won't have it anymore. I'm taking a stand. Hello you guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster 2, welcome back to Wonderland. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. There are so many creators back on the scene, I really do appreciate you coming and spending at least a couple of minutes with me. Thank you so much. So this is what we did in the last couple of weeks episodes then. We have been building ourselves an amazing little water park. It's actually turned out to be far better and far bigger than I thought it was ever going to be. Now this is the park as it stands. It's our Carowinds meets Kings Island meets Cedar Point meets Canada's Wonderland theme park, right? And we've kind of done that because they're relatively easy to pull together. You can rob from their whole architectural design and whatever, and you can replicate it quite easily in Planet Coaster. It's our first park, right? So it's basically doing what we possibly can just to pull stuff together. So I think we need to start bringing this to a close, is what I'm saying here. I've got 3 coasters left in the park. So I've got the stand-up coaster, I've got the multiverse coaster, and this, I was tasked by a viewer, hello, to recreate the dive coaster in Grosvenor Gardens, and put it on the workshop. As it turns out, it was needed in Planet Coaster 1, not 2, I think. But anyway, it was quite fun. I've kind of fallen in love with having it here. Now, we'll talk about, like, having 3 drop coasters in the same park another time, because by the logic I think you're going to use Stealth, Hyperia and Soar shouldn't exist at Thorpe Park. But anyway, this is what we're going to do in this week's episode. We're going to do a stand-up coaster because this is a little like hole on the landscape that's been bothering me for a while, and I need to fill this in so I can get all of this done. So this is the coaster. Comes out the station, into the lift hill, and into the first turnaround here. So it's your typical B&M turnaround. Going into a vertical loop and then into, yes, a zero-G roll. And before you tell me that zero-G rolls don't exist on stand-up coasters, I'm sure Shockwave at Drayton Manor would like to know that you're denying its existence. Then we come into a turnaround. Oh, he's got one on today, hasn't he? Got the ump. Underneath the brake run here, into another turnaround, into a corkscrew. And then for the rest of the layout, it just peters off its energy into a final helix and then into the brake run here. So it's a relatively simple affair. It would be a fairly early stand-up coaster. It's not sophisticated by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of want to go for Vortex at Carowinds on this one. I kind of want to try my hand at that building style, you know, the roof style and whatever, to see whether the pieces in Planet Coaster are possible. Anyway, I should probably stop waffling about it, and I should just show you, right? So let's go ahead and do it. Oh yes, you know what time it is, middle part of the episode, and there's been some changes. Most notably, the colour of the coaster has inverted. It's no longer white and purple, it's now purple and white. Yes. So, I mean, it's a really small area. There's only so much I can do and so much I can show you. There's quite a bit of, like, prep work that's been going into this one so that I can do all the final touches. But to answer the question of, can you use the in-game pieces alone to create some kind of intricate roofing structure? Well, there's the support for it, right? Yes, is the answer. There it is. I'm just going to drag it over. 1 second. Let's pull this over here because it's all nicely in in position, right? There you go. So that's kind of what I'm going for. It's going to need a flat roof, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do the intricate workings on the inside here. I'll need to do a flat under roof, but I've at least got some of the exposed beams and whatever going on, so that's cool. But yeah, you literally can create an interesting looking roof just by using these pieces, the Agewood roof pitched corner. That's all it is. Well, except for like here where I've got the normal pitched roof, but yeah, they're just all pitched corners. By the way, I hate this. Why does this not meet? Like, we haven't even got the piece in game to fill that gap. Why is it even a gap? Anyway, so we need to stop bashing Frontier. We like the game. We're talking about roofs. So yeah, there you go. You can actually make it. And I don't know if I'm going to keep it blue. I've coloured it blue for now. And that's because the original colour scheme was purple supports white track and the blue offset it quite nicely. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep that colour. I might just change it. But anyway, that's what I'm going for. It's very Vortex. It's very Carowinds, and I love it. I'm actually here for it. Like, it actually works. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Queue line has gone in then. It's just a big cattle pen affair. So I've done my usual techniques and stuff and squared off all the corners and all of that. And originally I did have the cattle pen here. This is why this looks a little bit weird. The cattle pen was a nice tight cattle pen. Then I came along and did custom supports and realised I needed some space. And I couldn't then move the cattle pen down this way because I needed space here for this support. So I ended up just having a gap in the middle. And do you know what? You see it quite a lot. Merlin do it quite a lot in their parks. You could put trees and stuff in here if you wanted to, just create a bit of shade. So yeah, I just need to tidy it up and finish it off, but it's all ultimately done. So you can also start to see how my original thought process was going to come along with this path, right? So originally it was going to come through this way. The queue line was all going to be inside, maybe here, and then the path was going to come over this way. Then it was going to come around the back here, and then it was going to meet up here, right? So that kind of works, but we've changed that a little bit, just a little bit, and we've now got this little plaza area that's living here. So it's a bit of a dead end, and it doesn't really feel like it should, but hey, do you know what? It's fine. I'm totally all right with it. So I have come along and done the custom supports. So we've got I haven't done it. It's not completely custom supported. The in-game supports for this one are okay. It just needed some custom supports just to do it. And now that we've got the actual custom supports in game, we can now do the connectors and stuff. So it looks okay. I've put the chain return in already, so that's normally one of the last things I do, but it's now actually in, only because I needed to know how it lined up with the custom supports. I think I just need to put some bracing and stuff underneath here because that's currently missing, but that's fine. I'll come along and do that separately. And of course it needs its catwalk clutter and stuff, so I'll do that as part of that same piece of work. And then I've also just put in some... Oh, I've just got my UI on. There you go. So I've also just come along and put in some supports along this way, and then left some of the in-game ones in. Actually, I don't know if I need one here. Maybe. And I've put custom support on the loop. I've actually taken inspiration from Shockwave on this one, in the sense that this would have been like an early-ish kind of model of the stand-up, so you wouldn't necessarily have the modern B&M supporting that you've got. This is just pretty much all it is. I don't know how it holds it up. I know how this bit is. It's because it works on an arch and it supports its own weight, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know how these are sufficient, but like, look at Drayton Manor's Shockwave. It's just, yeah, whatever. And then we've come into the 0G roll. That's got some custom supporting purely because I needed to put them in because the pathway here gets rid of the extra supports, and there was no real way of not having a support sticking out into the pathway. Even if I did the 0G roll the other way, this support would be in the pathway. In fact, probably more so than this one is here. So this is the lesser of the two evils. Come around this way, and I've put a couple of custom supports in here because of the pathway. Again, then through this way, and then just into the corkscrew. That's now got these two bits here, and then otherwise it supports its own weight because of the archway. And then down here is an interesting one because it's quite actually tight for space, and I've gone back to the 0G roll of Shockwave for this one. So we've got the pathway, which I'm glad staff are using. I love it. So the pathway is here, and then it comes into a helix where it's actually underneath itself, so you can't put your normal traditional... Actually, I think I need to move this support too. There you go. You can't put your traditional supports in here because, as you've just seen, you don't have space for it. So I've actually used the girder technique that's used on the 0G roll, and that's used because it goes across the river rapids. So it works, and it's fine in principle. It only needs to hold this bit of track. Yeah, so, I mean, happy days. I'm alright with that. Maintenance area, really simple affair with the maintenance area. I've put in the transfer track, and I've noticed as well that the stand-ups have this little overhang. I'm not entirely sure why they have an overhang. I don't know if it's to support the catwalk or what, but they have this overhang, so I've just put that in. And then this is all the maintenance area is going to be. I do want to take some cues and stuff from Vortex here, and just have a really simple open maintenance shed. I don't know if I'm going to put a roof on it. I might put some kind of cover, but I'm certainly not going to be a shed like this one is, because I don't want to keep copying this idea, right? It gets a bit boring when you just keep copying the same thing, so I do want something slightly different, if not familiar and similar to what we've done elsewhere. But yeah, so that's the maintenance area, and then we've just got ourselves here the actual station. So I've started to put in all of the girder work and whatever along here for the actual pathway. I do need to do the railings and stuff, of course I do, but I have done some of the station railings inside here, so that's now all okay. As I said, I like the idea of having this exposed beamwork, the exposed girder work on the underside of the roof. So it's got, even though it's going to be an enclosed, oh, I need to tidy that up. Even though it's going to be an enclosed space, it's yeah, it's actually there's a lot of tidying up. Yeah, it's all good. So this bit as well, the girder work along the stairs is all done, and then it comes into the cattle pen queue. And then because we don't have any kind of facilities and things going on, I have just copied across one of the shops here. I don't know if I like it being sat in the middle there, but it kind of needs something, and you don't really have anywhere else to put it. I mean, I could put it here, but then it's off the beaten track. I could put it down here, but it's the same thing. I mean, like, it does kind of need to be there. So I'm going to need to change the colours and stuff anyway. So that's all fine. So there you go. That's how it's sitting at the midway point. I can't wait to get this done. This is actually coming together quite nicely. So I'll see you in a minute. Well, when I sit here and just stare and watch the park just operating, and it's actually feeling like a proper operating park at the moment. It's got quite a lot of kinetic energy. That normally tells me the Dunfidel stamp needs to come out. So I'm happy for that. And of course, there's stuff that I'm going to need to come back and retrofit after the fact. But I'm happy with this. This is, yes, and look, yes, you can actually do a decent station building. Like this roof, for example, I did change the colour. It has been many colours, in fact. I did choose a pink, but because of the way that the assets are coloured on this particular asset, it ended up looking brown. And I was like, no, that doesn't work. So I've chosen a red, which makes it look pink, but actually that complements this purple so much better. So I'm happy with this. And the actual building shape itself, yeah, I like it. Like, these are the actual new coaster supports shrunk right down, and it just looks perfect. It's exactly as I wanted it to look. The exposed beams and stuff inside here, yeah, it's great. I mean, I wish I could have done the custom roof, and I'm sure the Bronation guys are probably doing that sort of stuff. I just don't have the time or the inclination in this park to do it. I just wanted to see what out of the box was going to be able to deliver, and it delivers quite successfully. So while I did want to have, like, the, I don't even know what it's called, is it the concave, whatever, the roof exposed, I didn't. I've actually just put the cover in, and it still looks alright. It still looks pretty decent. So fluorescent lighting for the win along here, and then of course we've got the row numbers. So the signs are of course shrunk right down, and I've just used the text, the custom text, to do the row numbers, change the font, and it looks cool. I like it. Of course, I've got the custom bin. That's on the workshop if you do want to see it. If you do want to download it, that is available. It's like a rubbish bin. So yeah, it's cool. And then we've got the stairs here. I've just used the same railings that I have done elsewhere, and I mean, it complements the railings I've chosen for the station anyway. But it's just consistent. It's a consistent design theme across all of the parks. So I'm happy with it. And then down this way, I have put some access stairs. These are the stairs, by the way. They're made out of signs because we don't have tread plates and whatever. And they're the ones that I used over on the Hyper. I've just given it a different layout and a slightly different railing. I mean, I'm not too bothered about this not being upright and stuff, because it's just there. It just needs to be represented. It's fine. You choose your battles when you do this sort of stuff, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I did want to have some kind of like plant room going on inside here, so I've just added some vents and stuff along the side. This would be where the main machinery and the electrics and stuff would be. And then of course that complements all the catwalk clutter that we've got going on here. And of course you've got all of the lights, and then that comes into the maintenance area. So the maintenance area is now all completely done. I have just used the corrugated roof on this one for the roof, but I have also used it as the floor. Not very health and safety at all, is it? It's an absolute trip hazard. But I think from a distance, it's probably the closest you're going to get to it looking like tread plate. So it's fine. It does what it needs to do. I wonder if anybody's put tread plate on the workshop. Let me know if you are aware of any tread plate assets that somebody's done. Be interesting to see. But anyway, these are the custom stairs down this way. Is it accessible? Well, yeah, it kind of is, right? I'm not too bothered and het up about the accessibility of vans and stuff along here. It does what it needs to do. I still just love the stuff, the fact that the staff are using the backstage. I love it. It brings it to life a little bit, doesn't it? I kind of hope that in the future we get some kind of backstage asset pack. You know, like there's this rumoured zookeeper pack for Zoo that just contains all of that stuff. And then, of course, we've got the conservation pack. I kind of hope we get something similar for Planet Coaster, where it just fleshes out all of the backstage areas. But for now, it's fine. It looks as it does. It looks as it should do. So I'm happy with that. The custom supports, by the way, here have really made this come to life now that the foliage and stuff is in. I like how this feels. I did just put one extra one in here. There was a support here. It was a little bit too close to the track, so I've actually just done a different support here. And yeah, I like it. I don't know whether I'd need another beam on here. I don't think so. I think it's all good. Like the Drayton Manor one, Shockwave doesn't need it, so it should be fine. The train's not doing much speed at this point anyway, so I don't think the forces should be too much of a problem. But I like this access road. It fits snugly. Yeah, I just like it. I really do. So queue line then is now all done. I've actually made this queue cover. It's quite a big queue cover. It may as well be a shed. But it's all got the exposed beams and stuff inside here. It would support itself because it's pretty much on an arch, or a pyramid or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we've also got the supporting braces. I like it. I don't know whether it needs to be lower because it's quite tall, isn't it? If you look at the distance that you've got between the guests and here. But when I had it lower, it felt really claustrophobic, and that's not the aim of the game here. We're not trying to make the guests uncomfortable whilst they're queuing. But I don't know. I like it where it is, but I might change it in the future. Definitely don't need any kind of queue cover here, though. We've got plenty of shade coming from trees, and I like how the trees. So many trees, so many trees. But I like how the trees just sort of give all of this dappled light, and it breaks up the viewpoint of the coaster and stuff. So yeah, I did do some tidying up. So I actually ended up changing this chain return ever so slightly. I did put the braces in, and then of course we've got the catwalk clutter and the lighting along the lift hill, as you would expect. So yeah, I like it. I like it. Then we've got the actual plaza area. I was a little bit torn with what I wanted to do here because it's a long, thin area to work with, and it needed something in the middle, but I didn't know what I wanted to put there. So taking Vortex's inspiration, there's the autosave. Taking Vortex as the inspiration, it has this planters in the middle, and this whole area is just full of planters. Well, we don't have the space to do that amount of planters and that amount of volume of planter, but what I did do is actually put these little tree planters, actually, if you want for a better word, in here, and then I just used the same trees that we've used over in the water park to keep it consistent with the water park. And actually, I think it looks all right. It makes this support less standing out. It doesn't stand out as much just being in the middle of the path because we've now got actual other obstacles in the way. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. You can sort of like see right the way down there, so it does what it needs to do in terms of drawing the guests through. And it's also inviting enough to do that. So yeah, let's keep it. I've also put the signs and stuff along the edge here as well. This is what I've done in the entrance area, so we're keeping it consistent with the entrance. Remember, it's all about making a consistency that's throughout the whole park. And then of course I've just done the train. The train's working, by the way. I've just randomly completed it. I've put the 2 stations where I think I want the 2 stations. They're not sold, and they're not open either, so guests aren't even riding the train at the moment. But the train is at least working, and that's because I wanted to get a feel for what it was actually like coming. Oh no, it's around the back here, is it? What it was like coming around the back of the water park and through this way. And actually, yeah, again, I like it. But what I have done then is just the crossing here. I have just put all of the signs and stuff down. I can't lower this bit anymore because of the length of the track, and this is the shortest segment that I can do. Why? You're supposed to be in the water park. Why are you just like wandering around it? Weirdo. I bet you're not alone either. I bet there's loads of guests that are just randomly wandering that should be in a water park. Yeah, so I can't lower this down anymore, so this is the best we're going to get. What I have done though is tidied up this bit along here, put some well, these hedges were already in, but I've just tidied the hedges up, tidied this bit of the path up, tidied this bit of planter up, and it now feels alright. It's now a side entrance, and you get a pretty good view of the station building from this angle. Then of course we do have the ride photos. This is a nice simple ride photo unit. I've just put the printers in, and they're functional with shops and whatever, so when they do finally fix the bug, hopefully guests, we'll be able to see guests buying and stuff. So yeah, there you go. I dig it. I'm chuffed. I like it. I'm glad I managed to be able to do this building. Like, this was and in fact it wasn't even much of a challenge, so thankfully Planet Coaster has made it quite easy to do this building, and quite easy to hide the extra bits, and it looks good. Maybe we'll try a custom roofed one day, but I'm happy with that. So there you go, guys. Thanks for getting to the end of this episode. I really do appreciate it. As always, leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Let's go for a ride, shall we? Have a good week. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.